It's all right to be a fan of a platform. I don't really care if anybody supports or prefers a platform. However, when we're in the gaming discourse, what I've noticed that there are some elements that pose as PlayStation fans. I don't think I'll call them PlayStation fans. I call them hyper PlayStation fans. That their job is to harass anyone that says anything that is even neutral, maybe slightly negative, or possibly unveiling the reality of PlayStation in the limelight. In fact, these folk are so obsessed they cannot even celebrate when there is a win for PlayStation if it comes out of somebody who has previously criticized PlayStation, because they're dead on drones to basically only hassle, heckle, insult your father, your mother, your family whenever you point out to them that they are, in a sense, creating a fantasy for themselves. I'm going to show you a few exhibits of PlayStation hyper fandom behavior. Terrible, toxic at best is the best way to describe it, and you'll see for yourself. But we first have to go through a comment that was led by an audience member of mine. The IT crowd, you made a very astute observation about PlayStation fans. I made a video and I said, where are the PlayStation fans? Why are they not celebrating that Helldivers 2 was one of the top grossing games on Steam? You replied and said, you can't see them celebrate when you've blocked them all. I laughed and I replied, I said, you have a point. However, in my defense, they were insulting me when I told them that this was going to happen. Do you believe it, ladies and gentlemen, that I told our community of listeners that Helldivers 2 was more than likely going to take the cake because PlayStation's day one strategy was a sound strategy. It increased the hype and they could capitalize on it. Players who wanted to check out the game had the opportunity to check out the game right there at full price. And it was not in any way making Xbox, in a sense, gain ground on PlayStation. But PlayStation hyper fanboys told me that I hated the brand. I wanted to see PlayStation fail. I wanted to see the brand diminished, and levied all kinds of accusations against me when all I was saying was, this is what PlayStation needs to do to stay competitive and win in this ecosystem. It's very counterintuitive that anybody would say that, but I guarantee you receipts are prevalent, and I even make videos of these receipts every day. Those of you who've been here long enough, you know the drill. These guys have been very, very, astute. And in my opinion, they've been very profitable in terms of actually getting more and more engagement on the channel. Now, I also went ahead and continued to tell this person that they told me I hated the brand, and they told me I wanted to see PlayStation fail because I think they're exclusivity cultists. They even mocked me for Starfield being in the same place last year. Do you know why they're not celebrating? Because Starfield was in the same position last year. Do y'all remember when I was talking about Starfield in the Steam Best of 2023? Do y'all remember when I said, guys, all of you saying that Starfield did not make any money? Hey, come look. It was one of the top grossing games in 2023. Wow, look at that. Look at that. And everybody, all these same hyper PlayStation fanboys, they said it's not true. Get out of here. It's Steam. Game Pass cannibalized the sales. And so I was like, guys, the same benefit is here for even Helldivers 2, because Helldivers 2 has made it into the Best of Steam 2024. So now many of them who have basically vomited vitriol at Starfield being in that position, in a sense, can't necessarily come out here to point to Helldivers 2 because they would entrap themselves in their own dishonesty. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. So this audience member of mine replied and said, VG, but why would anyone make it? And I said something, this is what I said. They said, if they're doing it to save face, but they can basically go ahead and make an alternate account and celebrate their win, can't they? And they said, why would anyone make an alternate account to celebrate here? But you just told me that I can't see them celebrate because I blocked them. So basically, you were telling me that there probably is a likelihood they will celebrate. And so when I say, well, they're free to celebrate, you're asking why anybody will celebrate. This is how I know that you might be an alt account. I don't know for sure, but hey, you may not be an alt account. And you said, it's too much of a hassle. And this is Exhibit A. Exhibit B, the reason why nobody trusts a lot of these so-called PlayStation fanboys is, remember we were talking about Black Myth Wukong, right? Remember we're talking about how the game can actually run when you hamper the system after having limited it to 10 gigs of RAM, then go limit the operating system, the game still ran. And a lot of these PlayStation fanboys, Nib was a subject of the discussion, came out with all of this talk, blah, 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 blah. There's another one. He's not on the table today. Very soon, hopefully, we'll probably have some time to probably see what their ethos is. Nib is over there deleting all kinds of different tweets and replies that he put on that whole thing because now he's being schooled in the reality. the scientific test has come out that the developers claiming that Black Myth Wukong cannot run on the Series S is a very strange claim. If anything, when Xbox said that to their knowledge, there were no technical limitations that they know of, I think that test basically pretty much validates that Xbox may be onto something in their own statement. And so far, the developers continue to say that the 10 gigs of VRAM, that's the limiting factor for Black Myth Wukong. It doesn't really make sense based on what we've, concluded so far. And that's all it is. So again, they just probably need to come out and say, guys, it truly is the optimization. There is no exclusivity deal on deck like the developers for Baldur's Gate 3 did when people wrongfully thought that it was a PlayStation 5 exclusive or that there was a PlayStation 5 deal. So now some people think that there's a PlayStation 5 deal. I speculate that there might be. I'm not saying there is, but if they want to come ahead and clear everything out, they can do that. And that's exhibit number 2. The third exhibit is the obsessed. I have noted your obsession. For those of you who continue to make the alt accounts and comment, I get it. I understand. You're obsessed with the content. You really would love to somewhere, somehow make your point. And I will somewhere, somehow farm it for more views, because a lot of what you're doing is you're staying in the emotional side of things. You see, the emotional side is not going to help you be able to make strong cases. To make strong cases, you actually have to dial into the data. And the data is, I think, the kryptonite of all of the nonsense that's been spread all this while, including from the games journalists. I can't imagine that they would even be a part of doing it. There is one that constantly mentions me. I'm not going to show you their username because I do not want to give them any iota of light. And their job is to come and question all the videos and mention me on their channel and talk about all kinds of stuff and doubt all the data sets that I bring out. In fact, sometimes I'll even show them stuff like this and they'll say that Matt Piscatella, and they'll insult this gentleman for putting this data out here. The reason this gentleman left Twitter is because of folk like this. Individuals that are basically demons where any truth can never, ever penetrate into their psyche. But we understand and I acknowledge that they're here. And to be very honest, I'm not really bothered by you. I'm just saying I see you. But you see how terrible it is that because of your obsession in one way or the other, you can't even go celebrate a win for PlayStation because over the months and over all this while we've been talking, you boxed yourself into a corner. When Xbox made one win in 2023 with Starfield, you were vitriolic, spewing nastiness everywhere. And now that Helldivers 2 is in the same position, you're at a loss. You're at a loss. You set yourself so hard. That's why you don't draw hard lines. PlayStation great, Xbox bad. You draw these hard lines, you find yourself in the same place. Oh, Xbox is irrelevant, so that's why they're putting their games everywhere. Well, did y'all know that not only did one PlayStation game just make it to the top grossing game, another PlayStation game became the best playable game on the Steam Deck. Did you guys know that a PlayStation game, these so-called exclusives, that they're attempting to roast Xbox fans about being, Xbox has no exclusives. Your own exclusive won best played game, best playable Steam Deck game. How exclusive is it when your games are now starting to win awards on other platforms? That's how much people are looking and saying, oh yeah. Because again, you've drawn hard lines. You backed yourself into a corner and you can't even celebrate your wins anymore. What a shame. What a very interesting predicament to put yourselves in. You can always backtrack. You can always create an entirely different new paradigm in your ethos. But I think many of your PlayStation fanboy, channels that you support, they're too deep into it. It's hard for them to backtrack now. You know what I mean? Like they went in too hard. They bet on the wrong horse, pun intended. And so now before they can basically go ahead and say, oh, look at us, we're winning on Steam. They understand and they realize that it's really, really going to look really weird at the end of the day to them. So, PlayStation fans, my fellow PlayStation fans, are you going to celebrate your wins? Or are you going to be over here trying to troll and, talk nonsense and all that, all that craziness? Are you going to enjoy gaming? Huh? Or are you going to be name calling like little middle school kids? Yeah. Do your thing, man. Peace out.